Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and episode 11 of Ultraners Talk and Tea. Got an awesome guest with us, and that is Timothy Sykes. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good. So for those that don't know you, which isn't too many that probably won't know you on our channel, do you want to give a brief intro about yourself?
Sure. You know, I trade low price stocks, which the whole world hates and I love. They made me a millionaire many times over. I started with $12,000. Now I made roughly $5 million, but it's a small niche, so I have scalability issues. So I'm never going to make $1 billion, and I'm fine with that. I go back to 12 grand every year to show my students now how to grow their accounts. So now I have thousands of students in over 120 countries. I love teaching. My top student has turned 1,500 into 8+ million, but he might be a robot or a clone sent from the future back in time when I'm like theoretically richer, and I would send someone back in time to prove that my stuff is real.
That rolled
That's a theory.
that rolled off the tongue. So
because it's a theory, because it would make sense if I'm more successful in the future and cloning and time travel are possible, I would theoretically send someone back in time.
This is that curveball. Right.
No, I mean, that's just, this is reality. This is realistic. I mean, time travel is real, right? Endgame is like a documentary.
There's definitely a debate that's needed with Elon Musk, Joe Rogan.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, my top student, 1,500 to 8 million, it's not like possible for humans. It's somebody from the future, or a robot or clone or something crazy is going on, because he is a madman.
There's a guy, was it, am I right, on Profit Lives, like a Superman? Or
Superman is there too. Yeah, he's made a few million, but this is Tim Grittani. Literally, I took him to the Maldives one time just to celebrate like his first $100,000 profit, and we're getting drunk and we're celebrating, and like literally he's just watching the screen, and I'm like trying to close the laptop, and he's like, get away from me. And this is at that point he was only up 100 grand, and he was so focused, and I was like, scared.
Epic. It's just like completely locked in, not doing anything.
Yeah. And now he's married with a kid. It's beautiful.
So when you said that people don't like, low price penny stocks, why is that?
Have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street? Have you heard of The Wolf of Wall Street?
Pink slips and
Have
stuff
you heard
like
of Jordan Belfort?
Are the commissions still the same though in regards to that?
No, so there's no 50% commissions anymore. Pink sheets are pretty much dead.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of low price stocks that are scams, and they have one or two products. They're very sketchy. They have very little in the way of public filings. Anything they do file, you have to take with a grain of salt. So they're very sketchy.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't care about their fundamentals. They just expect the worst out of every company, and you're never disappointed. But the patterns are very predictable, because mutual funds, hedge funds, big time traders don't trade this niche because, like I said, there's scalability issues. So it's a bunch of fucking idiots trading these, and you're competing against fucking idiots. Like I make the comparison. It's like competing against midgets in basketball. Have you ever played a midget in basketball?
Oh, I definitely have not played a midget in basketball.
If you want to play basketball, who would you choose? If you want to win the game, do you compete against like LeBron James or a midget?
Good question, midget.
Correct. So for me, I'm competing against mental midgets in penny stocks.
Okay, I love that analogy.
Very politically correct.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very introverted. I'm trying to work on like speaking my mind more. Thank you for helping me.
Yeah, great.
This is actually an intervention.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, wow, where do I go from there in regards to that question? Okay, fine. So my mental image is of midgets from basketball.
I'm gonna have to do a video sometime doing this to show it. But it's true. Like that's what it is. Like there's not much money comparatively. I mean, I've made a few $1 million. My top students made a few million. You can live a great life with a few million. But in some of the niches that you trade, like you can make a few million in like a day or a few hours. So it's just different stuff. But for me, that's why it's good for the average person with like $2,000 or $3,000. I don't think they should be trading Google or Amazon, like or Starbucks, like CNBC would have you believe, because you're just not going to grow your account that much.
And is that something that? So that was going to bring me on to the question of what made you. So when you started, did you initially start with penny stocks, or did you start off with the blue chips? And did you start off why not maybe FX, commodities? What made you steer in that direction?
No, so I started off with blue chips, and my account just wasn't going anywhere. I had 12,000, then like next month was like 11,900, then like 12,200, and I'm like, this is like mind numbing.
Yeah.
And then I tried a little options, tried a little forex. It's just not for me. So I gravitated towards lower price stocks, and I got really good at it. I'll tell you my first pattern. You'll laugh at how simple it was. My first year trading, 1998, 1999, senior in high school. This was when the internet was just beginning.
Yeah.
Companies would add .com to their corporate name, right?
Yeah.
So Sportsman's Guide, they sell camping equipment online. They're still in business. They changed their name from Sportsman's Guide Inc. to sportsmansguide.com, right? Big press release. The stock tripled, not in 1 day or 1 hour, but over 3 or 4 days as the news spread. And more companies started adding .com to their name. And I would just buy the stock at the end of day one and then sell into the spike on day 2 or day 3. And I was like, this is, I mean, I would win every time. And now 20 years later, that exact same pattern popped up with Bitcoin and crypto when companies would merge with Bitcoin or start like a Bitcoin or crypto subsidiary, the stocks would triple, quadruple over 3 or 4 days. And I'm like, mind blown. 20 years later, different hype, different kind of stuff.
Yeah, wasn't there was a stock, wasn't there? Was it, I can't remember what market it was on. They did, it was like Long Island iced tea. Yeah, LTEA. Yeah,
and they traded that.
Yeah, didn't they say they was getting involved in Bitcoin or something?
Kodak was coming out with Kodak coin, and the thing quadrupled. So same kinds of patterns. Then they all crash and burn. All the .coms crash and burn. All the Bitcoin stocks crash and burn. So I haven't even traded Bitcoin itself, but I've traded a lot of Bitcoin and crypto related stocks. Yeah. So for me, there's just an inefficiency there. Like, you know, if you're trading crypto or FX, like these are basically like commodities or 24/5, 24/7. Like I don't want that. I get too little sleep already. For me with penny stocks, because like we talked about, like I mentioned very politically correctly, I'm competing against fucking idiots. So they hear about the news not in real time. They don't use real-time scanners. Half the people in penny stocks don't even have real-time quotes. Okay, this is just to show you how fucking incompetent they are.
That's definitely got to be a YouTube title, competing against.
It is. It's just, I mean, it's true. Like, these people literally, like, I get emails, they're like, oh my God, I just lost like $5,000. I didn't realize my quotes were like 20 minutes delayed. And I'm like, how are you trading on delayed data? Like, they don't even know. So I'm just teaching these people like bare basics, but it helps them.
And okay, so in respect to that, do you think that the whole pattern side of things, do you reckon that it's going to be the same audience in that market forever, just because, you know, funds aren't going to get involved in that sort of area? But
there's always going to be idiots who need education. And I say that lovingly. But a lot of financially naive people need education. That's why I got into becoming a teacher. I was in this TV show, Wall Street Warriors, that was like a big hit because I was drunk in every episode and, you know, I have a big mouth, as you can tell. But the people started emailing me like, how do you turn a few thousand into a few million? And I saw the need because, again, most people who teach in my niche especially are just fakes. They're frauds. They don't make millions of dollars. They never have. They never will. So for me, I continue to, and I just have to show it step by step, even when I'm wrong. Like today, I sold my stock way too soon. Before I came here to see you, I made a few trades. I made like $1,200. Sold way too soon. Stock is now up even more. Everyone's like, why are you like selling so soon? You know, if I can make $1,000 a day, that's a good living.
No, 100% makes sense. I was thinking there's a couple of, off the top of my head, that I know there's some ETFs and stuff like that in the UK that invest into small cap. I'm not so sure about the US.
Not even small cap. Like try like micro cap or nano cap. There's no ETFs. No one gives a shit about my niche.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's crazy to me. Like they don't, most people think, like when they hear about me or penny stocks, they're just like, oh, it's a scam. You know, he's just pumping up these penny stocks. Like they don't realize I trade with a small account. I donate all my trading profits to charity. I'm trying to show the process. Like I talked about just with the .coms and the Bitcoin. That's one pattern, but I have dozens of patterns. And you see the patterns repeat because it's idiots, lots of idiots who just have no money or very little money and they need education.
Do you think that the things that are moving these stocks are such that, you know, like press releases, or we may find oil?
Yeah, 100%.
We found this, and
we found 1 billion barrels of oil. We found the biggest gold deposit ever. And these companies put this stuff out with little disclaimers at the bottom that, you know, the financially naive don't even read the disclaimers. They're being marketed to with, you know, press releases and analyst reports, even though it's not real analysts. It's just people who are getting compensated in cash or stock. And they just get suckered again and again. The sad way that I find a lot of my students is they lose half or all their money on some scam. They start Googling and they see a blog post that I wrote about the scam 6 months ago, warning them, but they didn't know about me. So then they've lost all their money, but then they're like, oh shit, that's timestamped. So for me, I have 8,000 blog posts, like 100,000 tweets, and I just timestamp everything. So you can see that like I'm trying to warn you ahead of time, but people still fight me.
That's why I tried doing that personally, because I do some contribution on Forbes, and so all of mine were time stamped in regards to that. More blue chips, like 30 to 40% moves over a few months, so very much, you know, lower percentage moves than what you're looking at. But I think it's important to make sure everything is time-stamped with your opinion.
Timestamps change everything, okay? If you look at like some people who are on TV, there's an ugly bald man who says bye, 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 and he's right about 35% of the time. If you look at his stuff, like literally you can roll the dice and be better than him, but it won't be as entertaining.
Okay, so on Ultra Nerds Talking Tea, we try to get 5 tips. I'll try to get them out of you throughout the whole interview. So say tip 1, what would you give to aspiring traders as something that they should take into account before they start their journey?
So rule number 1, lesson number 1, for me, it doesn't matter if I'm competing against mental midgets. It doesn't matter how sure I am. You like that analogy, don't you? It doesn't matter what the trade is or who I'm competing against. Rule number 1, cut losses quickly. Okay, I can be wrong on any stock. I don't care what my research says. I might short sell a scam. I short sell a lot of these stocks because I expect them to go to zero. Sometimes the scam can last more weeks and months than you expect. Sometimes I see a company that has a good technology. Spider Silk is this new technology. KBLB is this piece of shit little penny stock that I've been buying, and they have this Spider Silk, and I'm picturing like millions of little spiders like making silk, and it's ridiculous. But they partner with Polar Tech, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. The CEO of Polar Tech put out a good press release, but the stock wasn't acting well, so I got out. I made about $3,000, and I was just like, I really had conviction in this idea, but the price action wasn't good. 2 weeks later, the stock tripled. So I was on the right track. I was off on my timing. Doesn't matter. Rule number 1, get out when you're in doubt, or cut losses quickly. I had a profit on that one, so it doesn't have to just be a loss. But if the stock is not doing what you want, just get out. You can always get back in.
So that's number 1. Cut losses. And
or when in doubt, get out.
Yeah, when in doubt, get out. Good terminology. Okay, so that's mega. So obviously you started. What kind of actually got you into trading stocks in the first place? Why did you go down that route? Why didn't you go down the, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, go down the whole 9 to 5, get a job after you finish your degree?
I mean, this was high school. I was a tennis player. I had surgery on my arm, so I had Tommy John surgery. They take something out of your other arm, so I'm walking around school like fucking RoboCop. And I couldn't play tennis. I was already into college early admission, so my parents gave me control of my bar mitzvah money, and they thought that I would lose it all. They thought that it would be a good lesson for me. This is like my parents' like tough love. And instead, I turned the $12,000 into $100,000 senior year of high school, and then a little under $800,000 freshman year in college. And then I was hooked. Like my, I'm Jewish, so my greedy genes took over, and I was just like, I want more money because that's what I was born to do.
Okay, that's a great explanation of how you got into it. So the lesson that you were supposed to learn, you didn't really learn, you just kind of found your feet of where you wanted to go.
I became obsessed with patterns. And this is, lesson number 2 for you guys. Whatever you study, you have to become obsessed. You have to be addicted to it. It's not about like having a work-life balance, 100%. Like 9 to 5, then you clock out. Like if you want to learn something and you want to master something, I've made a few $1 million in my life. It's not even like the biggest thing for, trading purposes, but for penny stocks it's pretty good. But I became obsessed with learning. And if you want to make the most money, you have to first get as much knowledge as you can.
I 100% agree. It's like I say it all the time about Elon Musk, the 100-hour work week of just constantly putting so much more time in. It's something along the lines of what would take you a year. It would take someone 2.5 years to achieve. You can do it in a year if you're doing a 100-hour work week because everyone else is doing 40.
But you don't want to burn out too. So there is a little bit of a balance where you don't want to ruin your health. Like I get a lot of people that are like, I believe in it 100%. And like, I didn't even sleep last night. I'm like, calm down. Like,
did you go through that phase yourself?
I mean, I've pulled all-nighters before, like when a lot of the time when I'm writing like blog posts and I'm exposing these stocks and I'm like, I'm going to get these guys. Oh my God. And like they basically say that they're scams in their own SEC filings, which people don't read, because again, people don't even know.
I thought the SEC would have been a bit tougher on that.
Well, they don't say that they're doing anything illegal, but they say like, we have no cash. We're going to be out of business in the next 3 months unless we raise a lot of money. We hope that there's gold, but there's like a 0.007% chance. And these are in the legal filings. Then compare that to the press releases. The company says, we are going to find gold. So people read these one-pagers. This is lesson number 3. Don't just look at what management says or what a press release says. Always expect them to be basically like cheerleaders. Like they're never going to tell you the truth. The day before Bear Stearns collapsed, the CEO or CFO was on CNBC saying everything's fine, and the next day bankrupt. They're never going to admit that. So legal filings might be long, but they're worth reading, especially when you see like the ugly, grim reality.
Do you find that obviously short selling on a stock? Do you find it sometimes hard to get that kind of borrowed to be able to do that?
Correct. So this is part of the reason why I became a teacher. Otherwise, I would just short scams and run some giant fund out of the Cayman Islands and not tell anybody. But there aren't that many shares available to short on a lot of these penny stocks. I have a whole music video called "No Borrow, No Cry." Right? This is my kind of creativity and just too much time on my hands and too much money. So you can link that. We're going to link that. No borrow, no cry. You're going to laugh
borrow,
at this.
No cry.
I have 4 music videos just because I'm bored with life.
And it's all about penny stocks.
Yeah, they're all like little penny stock analogies. I spoofed this Rihanna video, and it was like this girl was trying to trade, and she gets frustrated, and she throws the laptop, and she gets undressed in a jacuzzi. I don't know. I go with it.
Okay, fair enough. So obviously you've got all this going on. You're in a limited market, and you've got your students now that you're dedicating your time to help increase their earnings, their revenue. You post your trades, don't you, so that the other guys can see them? Is that right?
It's all full transparency. You can see my income tax returns, audits, trades. Again, I trade with a small account, so it's not like I'm being that brave. Like I'm not showing like a $20 million trading account.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the process. Like, how do you make $100 or $200 in a day on a $2,000 or $3,000 account? That's useful.
Yeah. No. 100%.
Especially consistently, not just once. Yeah. Like I want something that's going to win 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 times out of 10. It doesn't matter if 1 time it doesn't work or 2 times it doesn't work. It's like, what can make you more over the long run, and how can you manage your risk? Some people like just want to make as much money as possible, but they can't manage the risk. They can't cut their losses. Exactly. So I would never take that trade. Your risk is unlimited. Especially with short selling some of these penny stocks. Yeah,
100% get that. So for the guys that don't know, where can they access that information?
Just Google Timothy Sykes.
Okay.
And have fun.
Just Google me.
Literally 8,000 blog posts. Like I have literally 100,000 plus tweets. I just looked the other day. I was like, that's a lot of tweets.
Yeah,
but I like posting all this stuff. I have a lot of posts and links, and I've written for Forbes and Inc. So you have articles there, and then I have 1,000 plus YouTube videos on my YouTube channel too. So a lot of people think I'm full of BS. So I'm like, okay, here, watch all this stuff for free.
Yeah, I get that.
It's fine.
What about your charity work that you're doing? Because that's something that caught my attention. I think that's really awesome. I've been keeping up to tabs that, but for the guys that don't know.
So this is what's interesting. So I have all these free videos on YouTube, but because they're free, people don't place much value in them. So I'm like, all right, how do I get people to learn? I have all this stuff where you can pay a little bit of money for video lessons or alerts or watch list, stuff like that. But some people are like, no, I don't want to pay. I'm like, okay, here's free videos. They're like, no, it's free. There's no value. And I was like, all right, so you don't want to pay. You're not going to watch free. What do I do? So I created this guide. If you go to howtomakemillions.com, it's $300, 35 hours of a guide, all goes to charity. Okay. And that way people pay for it, so they're invested in it. Okay, wow. But I don't get the money, so people who hate me still don't feel like they're enriching me, so they're fine with that. And then they learn, so I'm fine with that. So this one stupid guide for my haters has raised over $3 million now.
Wow.
And it's fantastic, and it's a very useful guide. It's everything that I've learned. And now this one guide started my charity, the Timothy Sykes Foundation, then started donating my own money. My goal is to build 1,000 schools around the world. We've built 52 schools so far.
I love that.
Then we started getting into animals. We just came back from South Africa in a whole campaign to save the rhino. We did a documentary. That got 30 plus million views, so that kind of went viral. Right now we're working on a new documentary called Save the Reef. So in about a month and a half, we're going to have a big documentary on why the coral reef matters. Do you know why the coral reef matters?
Go for it.
Do you know anything about the coral reef?
No, not too much, no.
So did you know that the majority of the oxygen we breathe comes from... Correct. There you go. So right?
Well, I didn't know where he was going.
But most people think like it's just trees.
Yeah.
Trees represent roughly 40-45%. It's marine life, 60, 65, 70% of the oxygen we breathe. Yeah. And we don't even know. We haven't even explored much. It's like crazy. And it's dying.
Yeah, we've got like, another 3 or 4 degrees in temperature to go, and then it's gone.
100%. A UN report just came out like yesterday saying like there's going to be 1 million species that are going to be basically extinct at the current rates.
Yeah, they're working, I think, on at the moment trying to get a kind of like a hybrid algae to survive in the temperature that's a bit higher.
I mean, we'll try anything, but it's not even just about that. Like there's stuff that people at home can do, like with sunscreen, right? There's 2 chemicals, oxybenzonone and something else that I can't even pronounce. But if you have the sunscreen with the stuff on it and you go in the water, it basically kills the reef and kills a lot of the marine life. And even if you don't go in the water, you wash it off in the shower, it still eventually finds its way to the ocean.
Yeah.
So working on a
Simple.
documentary of that. So
Simple
animals, charities, coral reefs, just
love
something
that.
for me to, a new challenge.
How much time do you spend doing that? Like where, that's probably something these guys are probably wondering. You're saying don't burn yourself out and everything like that. You've got your trading, you've got your education, you've got your research to your trading, and then you've got your charity,
traveling.
And then you've got traveling. So
I've been to 122 countries now. I'm running out of countries.
That is really good.
It goes back to doing what you love and focusing on what you love and being obsessed. I couldn't just like build one school. When I built one school, I was like, I need to build more, and then I need to build more. And then I tweeted it because it wasn't doing well on social media. So I was like, all right, retweet this. I did a video of my first school opening in Bali, and I was like, retweet this, and for every retweet, I'll build another school, right? And normally my charity posts get like 2 retweets. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll get like 20. And it's gotten like 8,000 now. People are like, yo, you better delete that tweet. And I was like, no, fuck it. Like, let me pin it. So now that's my pinned tweet, and it keeps getting more retweets. So I'm on like the hook for, 8,000 schools, which is going to take me a while, but might as well do it.
No, that's a serious goal. So, what tips are we up to now? We're on like, I think we're on like 3, something along those lines. So what's next? Like, is this it now is Timothy Sykes for the rest of your life now? It's building the schools, it's doing the charity work and growing the education. Is there anything else that's not that there's not that you're not doing a lot?
It's literally whatever comes up. Like, I mean, I didn't expect saving the reef to be important. I don't even like putting my head underwater. Like, that's not my kind of thing. But it came up.
You don't like swimming in general?
No, I don't do that shit. So literally, it's fantastic. I actually love this cause the most because I can focus on trading, and I take all these big groups out, and they're all swimming, and they're all like diving and filming. And I was like, yo, do your thing. I'll produce this documentary. I'll pay for it all. I'm like $250,000 in. Screw it, why not? But I get to do work while they do that, and I get to, take part in the final product because I'm editing it. I think life isn't about specific things or limitations. Like, you should just try everything and see how it feels. And if you get rich, you have more freedom to try more stuff. So it's good to be rich.
I agree that you definitely got more options of what you can do and how you can help other people.
Most people hate their jobs. If you look at studies, 75 to 80% of people under the age of 30 hate their jobs. And you spend the majority of your life at your job. So the majority of your life doing something the majority of people hate, they're just miserable. This is why pharmaceutical companies are doing so well. Like, like we need to get more people rich, but it's not easy to get rich. Everybody wants to be rich, but they don't really want to put in the time. They're busy playing Fortnite, watching Netflix, living in these fantasies. Why are fantasies so popular? Why is Endgame so popular? Why is Game of Thrones? Because it's fantasy, because it's not their life.
Yeah, it takes them away from the current circumstances they're in.
What if we focus on our current circumstances? What if we focus more on education and bettering our planet? And that way, we can live the dream life. We don't have to go, look for some mythical superheroes.
Do you think that it comes into this? It's just it's a lack of knowledge of knowing that they can do it, or do you think there's actually limiting beliefs and psychology behind it at a base level?
It's a mix, definitely people don't believe that it can happen to them. Like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm from a small town in Connecticut. I didn't really believe that it could happen to me until it did. But when I saw it happen to me, and now it's happened to several of my students, I'm like, oh, wait, there's something here. And one of my, newest top students, Roland, he started with 4,000. I think he's up to like 800,000 now in like 2 or 3 years. And he said, I only got into this because I started seeing more of your other students doing it. And then some other students were like, I saw Roland doing it. So the more that you see that this stuff can happen, and it's not everybody, if you look at industry stats, 90% of traders lose money. So you need to recognize that it can happen, but in order to do that, you're gonna have to grind, you're gonna have to work so hard. Like, this is why I have 6,000 video lessons. Some people are like, can I play them at double speed? I was like, shut the fuck up. Play them at half speed. Like, punish yourself. I'm like David Goggins, When your knees are bleeding, that's when you run more.
Exactly.
So you need to figure out that pain is not the end of the world. It's your kind of fear and your laziness that really hurts you in life and your future.
Yeah, it's like trying to shift a culture change at the same time, right? That's
a mental shift too. Like, a lot of this is just mindset, Like, you don't think that you can do it, so you don't do it. and then you don't do it, and then you're unhappy. It's like a vicious cycle, right? But if you can start to believe, wow, wait a minute, I do believe I can do this.
Yeah.
And then you start maybe seeing a little bit, and obviously like there's ups and downs. Like no one just makes all the money right away. Like 90% of traders lose, but 100% of traders lose right away at the start. But you're learning what not to do. Like that's how you learn. So you need to have patience.
Let's talk. So that's amazing. Let's talk about the overall industry, because I'm a strong believer that in this industry it's a very I don't know. There's a lot of misdirection, I think, from
misinformation.
Exactly, and I think it's a massive struggle. There's a lot of people pretending to be people. This whole thing with binary options is a joke, and it's kind of got out of hand. So, as an influencer as well in the sector, what do you feel that you can do, we can do, that could actually kind of
cut through the noise,
cut through this, stop them, and kind of keep them at bay?
I don't think you can stop them. There's, this is the internet. This is like the Wild West back in the 1800s. Like, people had like magical medical cures, and they really just put like cocaine in your coffee. Anything can happen in this industry, but I think that, again, the more that you study someone, the more that you see their trades, you see their process. Like anyone can just like rent a fancy car for the day, but did they rent it or did they actually buy it? Like, how did they buy it? What money did they use to like get that car? Like, are they showing their trades? Like, this is why I'm fully transparent. You can see 20 plus years of my trades. It's ridiculous. Like I show some of my trades, like I make $25 and you can see the details of it from like 17 years ago. So transparency is good. And then also like you just, again, this is a cynical approach, but with penny stocks, like you have to expect the worst out of the companies. Expect the worst out of everybody in trading and you'll never be disappointed. Like go in thinking like this person is a scam and they have to prove that they're not, like they're guilty before proven innocent. And that's the sad reality. But at least that way you can, not be fooled. Like you look at like the biggest scammer in history, Bernie Madoff, he was chairman of the fucking NASDAQ, right? And he was a total fraud and he's chairman of like one of the biggest shit. So if that can happen, anybody can do this. And he fooled people for decades. So just expect the worst, Look somebody in the eye and be like, you're a fucking scam, but I'll give you a chance to prove that I'm wrong.
Okay.
And then we'll see what they can do. Having a lot of YouTube videos, having a lot of real students. Like people use made up names like, hey, I'm Joe. I made $1 million following this stuff. Like, who's Joe? Like, use real names. A lot of people are shocked that I use like my students' real names, like real photos, real videos. I'm like, this is them. I have some students who have made a lot of money. They don't want to be on the internet. That's fine. Like when you make a lot of money, privacy concerns, I get that. But for me, this is like a battle between like good and evil, like real versus fake. So when I say like, look, here's a student, like this is a real person. This is not a made up name or an actor. Like some people are like, oh, your top students, those are just paid actors. And I was like, first of all, a lot of my students are introverted as fuck. If I was going to hire an actor, I would hire somebody who can actually speak, not this fucking weird robot guy. I don't hire actors. I don't hire anybody.
We was talking about this. We've been filming a series of where we take 18 random Joes with no background in the Forex markets, basically, and then we teach them how to trade Forex, and we then give them capital to trade, and we're saying that the winners, with the feedback that we're fully expecting, is to say that those guys are paid actors.
They're like
what you were saying,
but they're like the weirdest people ever. Like the most successful traders that I know have no like ability to communicate. Like they're like aliens or clones or from the future, something like that. They have some issue, They're basically autistic. Like the best traders that I know, it's like fucking Rain Man. So that's another problem with like who's really good and who's not.
Do you think they could step up on like regulation and stuff like that? Because that's something that we talk about: transparency, verifying your stats, being regulated, and making sure that you're like top of your game. Do you think that's something that should be, these guys should clamp down more on in the regulatory space?
Maybe, but again, like it's just like penny stocks. There's always going to be another like sketchy penny stock or another scam popping up. It's like whack-a-mole, right? It's like that game, and there's always going to be something else. What we can do is educate the public and talk about this stuff more. The beauty and the gift and the curse of the internet is that like you're going to have good eggs and bad eggs. There's always going to be somebody new, always going to be something. You can't regulate out everybody. but you can educate everybody. And if more people learn to read disclaimers and they read this stuff, like a lot of these penny stocks, it's laughable.
Yeah.
Like you read a 15-page analyst report, and then at the bottom is like, this is not an analyst report, this is paid marketing, we've been paid $300,000, and people don't read it.
Yeah.
And they're just believing
You've seen
everything.
like all the right wording as well, like potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially we will find this a best case scenario.
You should see some of my Twitter fights. I'm like fighting with either like promoters or like these mental midgets. Like I'm like, look at this, you fucking moron. Like this is a promoted email. And they're like, no, you're just jealous. The technology is great. I was like, here's an email. I'm looking at it. Here's a disclaimer. And they're like, that doesn't matter. What matters is the technology in this press release. And I'm like, I give up. Like I've fought against so many morons on Twitter who sadly go down the tubes, and then 6 months later, a year later, they're like, you were right. And I'm like, I don't want to be right like after you lose all your money. Just understand I'm trying to help you. So if you create a business based on helping people, like I might be a little crude in my definitions, but I'm just trying to like wake people the fuck up, right? I'm like Jewish Morpheus.
Would you sit there and try and come up with these terminologies? He's like, right, that one's going.
Jewish Morpheus. I was gonna say Jewpheus, but I don't know if that would translate.
So I'll tell you what, guys. If you want Timothy Sykes to come and educate you in London at some point, click this thumbs up on the video, and let's try and get as many likes as possible to get Tim back to London to come and talk to you guys. Do you have any events planned in London or anything like that?
Fuck no. I'm eating sushi.
Too busy traveling.
I'm eating sushi. I like eating sushi, so that's what I'm doing. You have a lot of good sushi here in London. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. But I just have meetings, and I'm meeting with people. Like I'll come back. I love this time zone. I've been in Asia a lot. Like it's a tough time zone to trade from. I'm only U.S. stocks, so I'm New York time. Like in the middle of the night, I'm crazy by the end of that. But I love Europe. It's fantastic. The stock market opens in the afternoon. I woke up today like at noon. I'm like, yo, this is fucking great.
Yeah, you get to see absolutely everything. And again, you get your late in and everything. You get to start like I think Thailand for us was pretty good. I don't know. I think for you that would have been much later.
What?
When you was trading in Sri Lanka and stuff like that, you must.
It was rough.
Yeah,
it's rough. Asia's rough. I love Asia, but I'll try and trade from anywhere. Like I literally just bring my laptop lifestyle for life, or maybe some new invention coming out.
Do you find that do you think it's easier to trade penny stocks in the US if you're predominantly in the US, or do you think that the access and the availability of information is now, anyone in the world can get access to this, can get the right trading accounts?
It's global. I mean, anybody can do this. Like the internet makes it all available to everybody. And this is the beautiful thing. Like Wi-Fi and new technologies are only going to get faster. The computers are only going to get faster. It's going to get easier to do this. We're all tapped into this. They'll probably all destroy us in like 2027. Like when, AI is too smart.
Everyone I talk to and interview about that AI, everyone's just
I mean, it's true. Yeah. AI is getting smarter and smarter. If you read some of these books, you're saying 2027 because that's when it's smarter. I have no idea.
I think it's like, I think you're not far off. I think it's around that time.
2045 is supposedly the singularity where we're going to be able to live forever, except AI will probably kill us. Like, all I know is that get rich and fucking enjoy while we can until we're all like fucking slaves for the machines. And then we can't do anything. Then we can't get rich, we can't enjoy, we can't even think on our own. So that should motivate people even more to study now rather than later. Like Netflix will probably kill us. We don't even realize it. Netflix is probably going to be like the king of everything, or Amazon.
If they sort their debt out, that's for sure.
It doesn't even matter. They'll fucking wipe out the debt. The robots will figure it out with some crazy algorithm. They're going to take like a penny off everybody's order.
Do you think that that's something that could be a future threat to penny stocks, is AI? As in the marketplace, like what you're doing right now, do you think that someone could come along? I love algorithms myself, but do you think someone could come along, look at the pattern that you're analyzing, build something that's automated around that? Or do you think because you're digesting the press releases?
No, I had hoped when I first got started teaching, I had hoped to collapse all the patterns. I was like, all right, I'm going to make them so popular that they're not going to work anymore, and I'll get fantastically rich teaching people. Well, I've gotten richer teaching people, but the patterns are the exact same. It's a gift and the curse, because I when I see a good pattern, like my whole rest of my life shuts down. I don't care if I'm at beautiful Sri Pond Mall, it doesn't matter. I don't move from the computer because I know that the odds are so good on my go-to patterns. Yeah. And so it's a gift and curse. I missed my college graduation for a fucking stock trade, and I can never get that back. I made several $1,000s. It was good, but sometimes you have to live. And for me, I feel guilty missing these good trades because they don't come about every day.
Yeah.
Like you say, like, how do I do all this stuff? I'm not like a Forex trader or options trader or something like where there's always something moving every day. Yeah. Some days I just don't trade.
Yeah.
Some weeks I don't trade when there's no great setups. So I wanted it to stop. I still want it to stop. I hope that I can get more people taking advantage of these patterns. There's just not enough money. Yeah. The problem is, like, even my best students, they make maybe $1 or $2 million a year. All the smartest people, like, don't give a shit about $1 million or $2 million. So the smart people look down on this, and I'm forced to compete against fucking idiots.
Surely the more people though that, for example, that are getting involved with this, so say for example short selling, the less likelihood that someone else is going to be able to get that fill in that position. So
this is what's interesting. So it's kind of like oil, right? Like if you like try to like damp out oil, it creates like new little bubbles, right? And this is what's happening. So I have a lot of people who believe in my patterns and a lot of people who think I'm just full of shit. So literally, like, it creates a whole bunch of longs and a whole bunch of shorts, and it creates more liquidity and more volatility. Like right now, a lot of my DVDs are based on short selling. I very rarely short in this market because the past few years has just been a strong bull market. Yeah. So for me, the risk reward has changed where I don't think it's good for newbies to short sell penny stocks, because before, penny stocks would go, maybe best case scenario, they go from like 50 cents to like $4, like 8 times your money in a few days.
Yeah.
Best case.
Yeah.
But because so many people became short sellers based on my DVD guides doing so well, and they're primarily short sellers. So now a stock that goes from 50 cents to $4, everyone's like, ooh, I know this pattern, let me short it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go down and they get squeezed and it goes to 20.
Yeah.
And so now the pendulum has kind of changed and now it actually is beneficial to go long. So the patterns haven't ended, they've just mutated a little bit. And for me, this is why I don't teach people to memorize patterns. I want them to learn, like, what is a short squeeze? Why is it doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I have a pattern that's first green day. I like to buy stocks, like the .com names, buy at 3:50, 3:55 p.m. Eastern, sell the next morning, as lots of idiots or lots of like latecomers see the news overnight and they put in their order. But now the idiots have gotten a little smarter. So now they're not buying the next day, they're buying into the close because they say, oh, this is Tim's first green day. So now I'm buying it at 3 p.m. Eastern and selling at 3:50 p.m. when everybody else is buying. Yeah. So the patterns shift a little bit. And that's like, I mean, it's not good or bad. It's just the way that it is.
It's just how things mold. Do you think the bull market's due to Trump and stuff like that game?
Fuck. I thought the bull market would end. I've been playing it so safe the past few years and I missed out on, like, especially 2019, the run up. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I've just learned to just go with it and, enjoy it until
it has to switch in the next couple of years.
I mean, it's just like the machines have to kill us. Like, we know that it's coming. You don't know when. So are the machines going to kill us in 2027, 2057, 2097?
Yeah.
All we can do is fucking live until we die. Right?
So it sounds so pessimistic.
But it's true. I trade penny stocks. I've seen more scams and more fakers and more frauds than anybody. You can't worry about when it's going to end. Like, I want it to end. I would love like a year off. If you offered me like 3 wishes, right? If you were like Aladdin for a day and you're all blue and Will Smith and weird, right?
Will Smith.
You seen Will Smith as Aladdin?
I haven't.
It's going to scare you. It's going to haunt you. He's Aladdin. And he's blue.
Right,
it's really messed up. But he grants, wishes. So if you could grant me a wish, I would say, take a year off from this bull market or 2 years off. Let me get organized because I just keep pounding more video lessons. There's more trades, more watch lists, more students. And I'm like, fuck, when does it end? In a bear market, there's less plays for me, which I'm grateful for. And I've been waiting for this bear market that just hasn't come. I was so excited at the end of 2018 when everything's crashing. I was like, yes, let it begin. And then we bounced right back to the highs. And I'm just like,
boom.
So,
You just can't take that into account.
I don't try to guess the market,
Let's try and get one more tip because I'm just conscious of time.
Yeah.
So one more tip for guys, aspiring traders that are getting into the markets. One more tip from yourself.
What about girls?
Girls as well?
Do you have a lot of girl students?
To be fair, no. We've probably, do you know what? That's one thing that we feel that we try to work on the whole equality side in our student base. We probably, I would say 10%, 15% tops is females.
Yeah, I'm like 5%. I think a lot of the jokes, I just offend them or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
that.
if you look at stats, like females are actually statistically better. Like
Yeah,
if you
the
look
risk
at, you saw the
management side,
SAC
right.
Capital lawsuit where the guy was taking like growth hormone pills to try to be more like a female.
Nine.
Yeah, it was messed up.
What the?
Yeah, that
that is
happens.
mental.
This is the stuff that happens. One more tip you want?
Yeah.
Have fun with this. You gotta have fun. Like some people are like, "Well, Tim, like your jokes are so wrong." Like
You can give crude. You know.
I'm looking at little flickering green and red things my entire fucking life. I lost my mind like 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago at this rate. You just gotta have fun. Like life is too short to be all worried about this snowflake generation and pissing people off. Like I say this all in good fun. I'm grateful for all the opportunities. I'm grateful for all the students. I'm grateful for all the mental midgets. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I invite mental midgets to come to me and I'll try to make them taller mentally.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
Okay, guys, like I said, absolutely probably one of the most craziest interviews we've done. Samuel K. Trading.
very serious.
Yeah.
No entertainment.
Yeah.
This is serious business.
Yeah, well, I'm fucking mental. That's everyone that's Timothy Sykes. If they want to get hold of you or reach out to you, just Google Timothy Sykes on the Instagram, most social
Google
media.
is Timothy Sykes a scam? That's the first thing that I want you guys to Google.
Yeah, Google that
There's
one.
video lessons. Actually, we'll end on this.
You've got a video
We'll
lesson
end-
on that?
Yeah, of course. I did a whole video, am I a scam? And I
Okay.
say like, am I a scam? Here's the argument for me being a scam.
For and against.
I go for and against. It's a 20-minute video. You know, I'm like, okay, maybe they have a point. But then I'm like, oh shit, I am Timothy Sykes. I'm not a scam. So let
Yeah.
me like show that. But no, my first Millionaire student, literally, I found him because he wrote a blog post that said Timothy Sykes is full of BS. It's still up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, who is this motherfucker? So I'm going back and forth in the comments with him. There's like 60 comments.
Yeah.
He finally gave my DVDs a chance. He's made now $2 million. I'm like godfather to his baby. Like, it's beautiful. So if you can turn your haters into fans or turn them
Yeah.
into millionaires, like that's fantastic.
Fine.
The blog post is still up. You should read it. You're gonna laugh.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic story. Everyone, that's Timothy Sykes, and thanks for joining us.
Wow, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks a lot. It's been a
I'll
pleasure.
try to be more extroverted next time. I'm working on it. I'm taking acting lessons.
Guys, don't forget to thumbs up. If you want Timothy Sykes to come back, make sure you definitely thumbs up. Comment, subscribe, let us know your thoughts. Be super interested. See you in the next episode, guys.
Training them.
Awesome.